Okay, now look at table 1. Types of shops, frequency, food and beverage 10, electronics 4, luxury brands 21, children's products 7, sportswear 3, entertainment services 5. Now, is there a pattern in this data? Is there a pattern in this data? We got that 21 is the majority and 21 is luxury brands, and then followed by food and beverage. The one with the least frequency is sportswear, 3. Moving on, I'll now read figure 1. Results from the survey. Now, link back to the scenario, the survey, they had interviewed 40 tourists. Okay? So as I look down, look at the survey. Firstly, gender, 4 males, 36 females. Age of tourists, minimum 20, maximum 50. Nationality of tourists, there are only 3. American, Indonesian, and Chinese nationals. Total sample size is 40. Is there a pattern? Yes. There seems to be predominantly females. And for the majority of the age group, they fall under 31 to 40. Below the profile of the respondents, I visit Marina Bay Sands for the following reasons. Statements provided in the survey. Many food choices, 33 disagree. Buying a luxury goods, 30 agree. Visiting the casino, disagree. Accessibility, 34 agree. Located near other tourist attractions, 30 agree. And I heard of this attraction and wanted to see what it was about. The reaction is more mixed, 23 and 17. I ask myself now, is there a pattern in this set of data? It seems like there's a very strong trend for certain categories such as food choices. Many disagree that there are many food choices. Most agree that they are there at MBS to buy luxury goods. Most agree that it is very accessible. And most agree that MBS is located near other tourist attractions. Okay, so now I'll continue this think aloud strategy to the questions as well. Identify the data collection method used to obtain the results in table 1 and suggest one difficulty the students may have faced when collecting the data. Now I ask myself, what is the question word? What is the question word? Identify the data collection method, and as well as suggest one difficulty the students may have faced when collecting the data. Now, I refer back to table 1, different types of shops found in Marina Bay Sands. I ask myself, have I done this before? Have I done this before? Last month, when I went to Little India and carried out my own tourism fieldwork, have I done the same thing before to find out the frequency of the different types of shops which appears in the place? Yes, I've done it before. I've done the land use survey for a particular street in Little India. Okay? So now, this wouldn't be unfamiliar to me. Based on prior knowledge, I know that the data collection method is called land use survey. Second part of the question, suggest one difficulty the students may have faced. I ask myself, have I done it before? Yes, I have. And what was the difficulty I faced when I myself did the land use survey? So probably I can recall back to when I was in Little India, I probably had some difficulty trying to categorize the shops, right? So what falls under retail, what falls under a specific kind of retail such as apparel, for example, or luxury goods. Okay? So a possible difficulty would be difficult to categorize. I move on to question B. Suggest another method the students could have used to present the information in table 1. Explain why you think this method is suitable. Again, I ask myself, what's the question word? The question word is suggest and explain. Again, I refer back to table 1. Now, when I see these 6 variables with different numbers, how else can I present the data? So, diagram is possible, pie chart is possible, line graph is possible as well. Okay, so I can suggest anything, but I will need to explain why this method is suitable. So I would think that instead of presenting it in a table, numerical form, when I present it in a bar graph or line graph or pie chart, visually it is easier to compare. Okay? It makes data easier to compare visually. Going on to part C, describe one possible sampling method which was used when conducting the survey. State one advantage and disadvantage of this sampling method. I ask myself, what are the question words? Describe and state. I take note of what they are asking. One possible sampling method. I ask myself, what do I know about sampling methods? What do I know about sampling methods? And then I recall in class, during the first few lessons of pluralism, I think Mr. Chan taught me before, there are 3 different types of sampling methods, namely random, stratified, and systematic. I look at the question again. One possible sampling method which was used when conducting the survey. Which was used, that means it was being used. Now, let's refer back to figure 1. Figure 1, I study the profile of the respondents again. There are 4 males, 36 females. Majority of them are in the 31 to 40 age bracket. So when I see such unequal numbers in the different categories, I will know that it is not stratified sampling, because in stratified sampling, usually they will aim to have equal numbers of each subgroup. Therefore, I can eliminate stratified sampling. Which leaves me with random and systematic sampling. As I look at the data again, there's nothing which tells me that they did not use random sampling or they did not use systematic sampling. And therefore, I shall just choose one of them to write as my answer. Again, I'll write systematic sampling. Now, I ask myself again, what is the question word? The question word is describe. The question word is describe, it is not state. And therefore, I just stated systematic sampling that is insufficient as an answer. Describe systematic sampling. Systematic sampling is choosing respondents at a regular interval. I'll add in an example. For example, every 5th queries I meet. Look back at the question again. The question word, besides describe, it is state one advantage and disadvantage of this sampling method. I ask myself, have I done this before? Have I done this before? Yes, probably at Little India, I have tried to interview tourists and I use the systematic sampling method. So the advantage, I would know from prior knowledge that I know that it reduces biasness. As for disadvantage, I think on my own experience. I have done it before, right? So I think on my own experience. What was the disadvantage of trying to capture every 5th tourist who walks past me? It is not very possible because sometimes the crowd flow is irregular. Sometimes there are a lot of people, sometimes there's hardly anyone, so you cannot possibly capture a 5th tourist. Okay? So you can list either scenario when it gets too crowded. It is hard to identify who's the fifth tourist if you want to go by this system.
Sean, can you quote example one? You can quote example.
Last question. Using the data collected in Table 1 and Figure 1, state a suitable hypothesis regarding why MBS is a popular tourist attraction. Provide evidence to support your hypothesis. What are the question words? State, provide evidence to support. Okay, the evidence must be supporting. State a suitable hypothesis. I refer back to my data. Table 1 and Figure 1. And because when I went through Table 1 and Figure 1, I asked myself the question, is there a pattern in both sets of data? And from Table 1, the pattern I figured out is that most of the shops there are actually selling luxury brands. Okay? And over here in Figure 1, the trend, the pattern which I spotted is most of them are here for things that is very accessible. Most of them are here to buy branded goods. Most of them don't like the food choices here. And most of them think that MBS is located to nearby tourist attractions. Based on the two sets of data and the pattern I've analyzed in the two sets of data, is there a consistent, I think I see a consistent pattern, which is about luxury brands, right? And there are a lot of shops in MBS selling luxury brands, and there are a lot of people who are there just to buy luxury goods, 30 out of 40. So I'm doing the question again. State a suitable hypothesis regarding why MBS is a popular tourist attraction. My hypothesis therefore will be linked to luxury goods. Okay? Tourists visit MBS to buy luxury goods. I've answered the first part of the question, and second part, the question would provide evidence to support your hypothesis. I will mention about how luxury brand shops make up the majority. Shops. I also list the evidence from Figure 1, which is 30 out of 40 tourists had the intention. Had the intention to buy luxury goods. Majority. Once I'm done, can I turn to page 1? Okay, one of the questions I asked myself, Vivian, as I thought aloud, is there a pattern in the data? Now, on the second column, you see what is the purpose of the question. Why did I ask myself the question? Vivian, why do you think I asked myself, is there a pattern in the data? Okay, so the purpose is to spot trends, right? If I can spot a trend, then it can help me to answer the following questions. Great. erasure, another question which I've asked myself, what is the question word? So over there, by asking what's the question word, I can provide the relevant answer. I can provide the relevant answer. And it also saved me a mark because initially I had thought I just need to state a sampling method, but actually it says describe. So as I look at the question word again, I realize that stating is not enough. I have to give a definition. Another question that I've asked myself, Wilbur, have I done this before? Why do you think I need to ask myself that question? Good, Wilbur. Okay, so that we can use whatever we already know to help us answer the question. Yeah, that's why we bring you out to Little India for actual investigation. Prior knowledge. P-R-I-O-R. Prior knowledge. I've also asked myself another question, which is, what do I know about this thing, right? When I refer to sampling, I ask myself, what do I know about sampling? What do you think is the purpose of asking myself, what do I know about it? Ron? So that we can make use of the knowledge we already have. It's the same thing, right? Make use of the knowledge we already have to help us answer the question. Anyone has any queries to ask about this thinking aloud strategy?